Okay, let me take as little time as possible, and then you'll have the rest of the hour. Work on lots of old things. Right? Right. 2 slides. I'll be done in 5 minutes.
5 minutes.
Okay.
Okay, well, I want to work on my
as much time as possible. So war's over, right? The War of 1812 is now over. Also, the reduction in influence of the Federalist Party means essentially Democratic Republicans dominate. So we've eliminated conflict with the British, and it appears that we've eliminated conflict within the borders of our own country. We're all Democratic Republicans because the Federalists have died away. And that is why this time period after the War of 1812 is called the era of good feelings, which always makes me feel uncomfortable, but because it's such a creepy way to phrase it. So this is the election of 1816. So this would be the first presidential election after the War of 1812. And you can see that Team Blue, go Blue, dominates. The Electoral College dominates North, dominates South. And that is because of the withering away of this thing called the Federalist Party, which is not to suggest that there were no more liberals out there. Of course there are liberals out there. It's just that the Federalist Party is going to wither and die away. Of course, it will be replaced by something else. But this seems to imply that we're at peace within our own borders. Plus, we've signed treaties with Spain. Plus, we no longer are fighting a war against Britain. Peace in our time. And Monroe was reelected 4 years later. Again, it appears to be everything's great. Everything's great. But there are clouds on the horizon. There are clouds on the horizon. What is a panic?
Like you get scared.
So
Chaos.
one day, everyone in 1819 woke up, looked around, and went, "Dude!"
Oh,
No.
yes.
A panic is a recession. A panic is a recession. They don't use that term anymore, but it's a recession or a depression. And this isn't really an econ class. So you'll notice that when we touch upon like the Great Depression, or later on in this class, we'll study the Panic of 1837. We'll touch upon it, but we won't delve into the economic realities of it too much. That interests you, get into micro and macro and study that stuff. But there's this economic depression that happens in 1819. Part of it is the tariff, which not only makes imports more expensive, but it makes domestic products more expensive. If you're a consumer, you can't afford it, so you don't buy as much, which means the factory cuts their production, which means they fire workers, which means now those people don't have income, which means now they're buying less, which means the factory reduces even more, which means they fire more workers, and now those people don't have money to spend, and on and on and on. That's what happened at this time. The bullet is the continued hatred that exists, and I would say even up through and including today, this amazing animosity that exists out there toward the federal government, especially in the West, Western United States. States formed after the federal government already existed, because if you think about it, the states on the East Coast, they've existed longer than our federal government has existed. Right? New York is older than the federal government. And generally speaking, the funnier the shape of the state, the older the state is, generally, right? Colorado. Okay, new state, right? But go ahead, try this. Draw Maryland. Fail. Okay. There's a lot of resentment toward the federal government. Even today, my brother worked for the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, and he found his employment taking him to states like Washington and Idaho, and he more than once had a double-barrel shotgun pointed right at him saying, "Get off my damn property." And he worked for the federal government, and he was just there to talk about the fish that were dying in the stream, and boy, oh boy, they do not like the feds telling them what to do out there. And so this is consistent. But by the way, big idea here, isn't that the story of American history? The resentment of the people out east. Right? Think when we're the original 13 colonies. The resentment of the people out east. Britain. Think of when we became an independent country and we passed the whiskey tax. The resentment of the people out east. Right? There's always this belief that the people out there in Washington, they don't know what we have. And don't you see it in the commercials that are being run now? Every commercial is, he's all Washington now. He gets money from the livid, the special interests. And she sits on a beach and clangs and drinks champagne. Yeah, she's Washington now. Man, if you believe those commercials, everybody in Washington is an awful person. They're all awful, according to these. Anyway, all right. Any questions here? Let's rock. Understand, the point of this slide is that it appears that everything's great, and it isn't. It isn't. There are clouds on the horizon. There's something not right. You scratch away, and things become smelly. Okay. Last slide. Continuing this idea of westward expansion, we have the building of the nation's first road. That's wrong. The nation's first road funded by the tariff. This is called the National Road. The National Road.
Still here?
It's still there. Absolutely. There's still a road there. It's the National. Is it called the National Road? Probably not. It's probably called like Highway 80 or something like that. What is the closest national road to you right now? No. Tyler, think about what you just said there. I'm glad you said that. You said County Road I.
Got it.
Who paid for that road?
The county.
The county. It's not a national road.
94.
No.
94.
Interstate 94 is the closest national road. If it is an interstate, inter means between. Federal government pays for it. If it's a state highway, the state of Wisconsin pays for it. If it's a county road, the county pays for it. If it's a street in Somerset, Somerset pays for it. Okay? This is the first time the federal government paid for a road. Okay? In the 1950s, the U.S. government funded what is really unappreciated, and we should really step back and say it's kind of a marvel, the interstate highway system. Because if you think about it, when you're driving on Highway 94, you never have to stop. It's amazing. I could go this way, another car could be going this way, and we'll be fine. No one has to stop. It's amazing. Man, you think about those clover leaves? Someone designed those things. Like if I wanted to go this way and then go that way, but someone over there wanted to go this way and then that way, and someone over there wanted to go this way and then that way, all of us could do it at the same time. Amazing. An engineer did that. Any future engineers in here? Super. That's what you'll be doing. Or making a razor with 6 blades, because 5 isn't enough. Or maybe 7 or 8 or 9. Okay. All right. This road has several terms. It's called the National Road. It's also called the Lancaster Turnpike. Same idea. The idea, by the way, is to get people out west. Get them out west. Move out here. Right? Develop the country. Westward expansion. And grow things and drive them back. Grow cows and then drive back and let me have that delicious T-bone steak. The end. Any questions?
No.
Okay. When I'm done talking, lots of things in the air right now. There's a Kia. There's a paper. There's a debate, presentation. Let's stick with those 3 things. Yes? Okay. The rest of the hour, pull a little Mozart on. Off you go. Chromebooks are for this.
I turn it off again.
Yes, thank you.
Grace, you're in it. It's not ending. The button's broken.